Cultural Marxism has become a buzzword amongst the mainstream right, with many conservative figures speaking on it as if they were experts. The idea goes that after the failure of economic communism and the collapse of the USSR, the left had to find new ways of spreading their Marxist ideas, and so they came up with the ideas of cultural Marxism, a set of progressive social values pushing for open borders, sexual liberalism, multiculturalism, the destruction of the family, and the pushing of postmodernist thought. The left, in return, has called out these ideas of cultural Marxism as a far-right conspiracy theory with no evidence, oftentimes stating that cultural Marxism does not exist. However, both the left and right seem to possess an ignorance on the history behind what they deem as cultural Marxism. The beginnings of what we may call cultural Marxism stem all the way to the inception of Marx's writing. Karl Marx was a German economic and philosophical thinker who formed the basis for modern-day sociology and analyzed systems of exploitation within the capitalist system, which was emerging at that point. Karl Marx also wrote of a system which would follow capitalism. He called it communism. This system of communism would be the final point of human progression and would require the destruction of national identity, religion, as well as the abolition of economic and state hierarchy. Though Marx never actually professed outwardly liberal views and actually expressed opinions many would consider to be right-wing, we can see the basis of cultural Marxism forming. Marx's writings and ideas were put into practice by the Russian Bolsheviks who formed the model for communist society. The revolution was led by Lenin, who soon passed away following the establishment of the new Russian Soviet Union. Following Lenin's death, a schism formed between the more orthodox Marxist Leon Trotsky and the more conservative socialist Joseph Stalin. Stalin ended up victorious, and following his victory, he started a crusade against Trotsky and his followers. Around the 50s and 60s, various Trotskyists fled the USSR and came to America, where they started to preach their politics. These Trotskyists were vehemently anti-Soviet to the point where they worked with the US government to fight against what communism had turned into. Leon Trotsky preached the idea of a worldwide revolution where he wanted to continue the war in order to spread the Marxist ideals. We can see more modern Trotskyists preaching similar ideas about spreading war in order to fight the Stalinist implementation of socialism, which they viewed as contradictory to their Marxist orthodoxy. These ideas of war and expansion culminated into a project known as the Congress for Cultural Freedom, which formed the basis for modern neoconservatism. The Congress for Cultural Freedom was a political think tank and an organization which worked to spread anti-socialist ideas and even fought many manifestations of socialism and implementations of socialism in the real world. It was in every way a tool of capitalist imperialism created by the Trotskyists. Alongside this economic aspect of cultural Marxism, which was extremely anti-socialist, there emerged a new set of social views alongside the postmodern school of thought. This new philosophical school of thought preached the ideas of anti-authoritarianism and cultural liberalism, and received support from the Trotskyists and the Congress for Cultural Freedom, which used radically social liberal ideas to create a new left, which worked in the interests of the establishment. This left abandoned its labor activist roots and economic populism in favor of spreading social liberal values. The left wasn't the only group, however, affected. Cultural Marxism also resulted in the creation of a new right, which is pushed to abandon its cultural traditionalism and nationalism in favor of economic free markets and libertarianism. This new emergence within the politics led to the formation of mainstream political thought, which tended to express socially liberal values as well as economically capitalist free market thought. Together, this led to the formation of neoliberalism as we know it. The edifice of our modern political system is by origin a Marxist system, though it may not be Marxism-Leninism of Stalin or the populism of the real-world implementations of socialism that we've seen. It is the orthodoxy of Trotskyism. It is the worldwide revolution which seeks to spread its cultural Marxist ideals through economic imperialism, abandoning socialist thought in favor of neoliberalism to get what it deems as right done.